So the other night I finally watched Bird Box. I didn't really feel like it up until then, but everyone was talking about it and what have you. And I also watched The Quiet Place. Now, if you've seen some of my other videos, you know that in my spirit I always hear dig deeper, dig deeper. So keep that in mind. I'm going to tie in together 3 movies: Bird Box, The Quiet Place, and Dragonfly. Okay, so when I was watching Bird Box, right away I noticed this shape in the background. That's the sister, and they were at the doctor's for an appointment because her sister's pregnant. So, oh yeah, I should also mention that in each of the movies, the 3 movies, there's waterfalls, there's feathers, there's a pregnant woman, and it all has to deal with spiritual warfare, but also spiritual awakening, and they hide it right in plain sight. So I noticed this right away, and I paused the movie, and I'm like, where have I seen that shape before? Without a doubt, I've seen that. So I paused, and I'm like, okay, so I'm thinking about it. It must have taken me like an hour and a half. I just kept thinking and slowly putting it together, and I'm like, oh, Kevin Costner was in that movie, and his wife, and the bus, and so anyway, I finally put it together, and it was a movie several years ago now, called Dragonfly. And I don't know, this shape just stuck with me. So I noticed it right here. Okay? So I felt in my spirit to dig deeper with that. So in the Dragonfly movie, I'm just kind of flying between all 3 movies. So in the Dragonfly movie, Kevin Costner's wife was a doctor, and he was a doctor as well. She was a pediatric doctor. She went to another country and disappeared. They said she died and what have you, and so he's getting all these signs, dragonfly like signs, that his wife is trying to get his attention and such. So he visits some of the kids that his wife was taking care of. So he's trying to, not move on with his life, but, trying to deal with the apparent death of his wife and whatever. And all these kids are having these near-death experiences and coming back. And this guy here I don't know how many he drew. If it wasn't 20, it was 100 of these squiggly crosses. And see, there's a part of one over here too, but at one point in the movie, like, they're all over the wall and everything. So the dragonfly, okay, it symbolizes change, transformation, adaptability, and self-realization. Has its source in mental and emotional maturity and understanding the deeper meaning of life. Okay, so keep that in mind. So my thoughts went to The Quiet Place. I'm like, okay, well, I wonder, I just felt to look at the movie that I had just watched. And sure enough, there it is. This is a path that they make because they have to stay silent. I don't know if you've seen that movie yet or not, but anytime they make noise or whatever, there's a threat of these alien demon things of killing them. So incidentally, this is one too, I think. But this is, I'm like, wow, it's in all three movies. This shape is in all three movies. The waterfall, the pregnant woman, the feathers. You'll see. So here's another shot. The father's up on the grain thingy. You can't see it as well because his head's in the way, but that's where it is. Now, when I was watching The Quiet Place, this caught me right away. Okay, sorry about the terrible pictures, but I had to take a picture of it paused on my television. Because I can't find any clips. So they're in this store at the beginning of the movie, and they can't talk. His sister's deaf, so they all know sign language anyway, but that's what they use. So he says he's drawing on the floor, and he says it's a rocket, and his sister says, you know, it's really good, in sign language, and he signs, that's how we'll get away. Okay? And right away, when I looked back, there's that squiggly again. I'm like, oh, it's right there too. Okay, so that's how we'll get away. So this is a picture. So this is a shadow of his sister walking away. The front windows of the store are over here, and there's a shopping cart. So the kids walk away. The camera pans to here. And now he just said that's how we'll get away, and they're talking about the rocket. And I look at it, and right away in my spirit I said, nope, that's a vesica Pisces. Pisces, I think it's called. So I just felt it. I knew that that's what they were trying to do. And I'm like, hey, how am I going to prove that? There's so much going on in this picture. And, you know, dig deeper, Shannon. So I started digging deeper. Let me go here. Oh yeah, I'll get into this first. So I put the picture sideways. I'm like, this means something. Because this is entrapment. This is not how they're, like, was he pointing at something else? You know, so I looked. And if any of you follow Jonathan Kleck, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a U and there's an upside down U. Now these two lines here are thicker. So just try and picture this U being flipped. Okay? And then it's like this. Okay, so here is it, it's thicker. Okay, it's thicker lines. So it's here. And now it's like this. So you take this U and you just scoot it up here, and what happens? Just like Jonathan says, it's flipped. Okay? So I knew that that's what the little boy was actually talking about. He wasn't talking about this. He's saying this is how you get out of this, plus their situation. Okay, so back to this. So I felt in my spirit to dig deeper. So you can't tell in this picture, but this is a leather pouch. An old little yellow pouch that these pastels were in, that the boy was using. And I'm thinking, okay, well, leather is actually skin. So that made sense, you know, that we're trapped in skin. But why the pastels? So I researched. So pastels, okay, with the pure powder pigment, they mix it with a binder. Okay, so it binds it together, it glues it together, this powder. And I find it interesting they're using the word bind, but anyway. So I'm like, okay, so they use the powder plus a binding agent. So one of the binding agents that they use is this thing here. And it's dried sap of several species of Middle Eastern. Okay, this is crazy. So some of the names is goat's thorn. Okay, the gum can be called gum dragon, and it comes from the Greek word goat thorn. Like, that's why they used the pastels. So it's a traditional binder used in the making of artist pastels. So I thought that was, I mean, that's why they used the pastels with a binding agent in the leather pouch. You know, it's like we're stuck here in skin. So then I was looking even more. Oh yeah. Okay, so I'm like, well, there's a white kind of a cube looking thing. So I looked at but it was like being unfolded. There's all kinds of meanings in this picture. So a cube unfolded is a cross. Okay? And a cube unfolded is a symbol of man. Okay, so picture this as your Vesica Pisces. Okay, one big circle here, one big circle over this way. Okay, so this is man, and there's an X here. So I think that's like female and man. So when let me go a little further. Hold on. So I just looked up white cube, and even though they talk about the gallery space, white cube, I found it interesting that it's a place free of context where time and space are thought to be excluded from the experience of artworks. So I thought that was interesting that they would use white. Now, over here, I felt in my spirit look at ancient Hebrew, and I'm like, ancient Hebrew. I don't know the first thing about that, but anyway. So I looked at this shape here. Okay. And I looked closer, and it looked like there was a worm, but also it could be a rope. Okay. So I looked, and I'm like, okay, well, it kind of looks like this here. And the meaning of this is hook, which makes sense with the little worm. And incidentally, it's a W, 2 U's, the W, just like Jonathan was saying. So I'm like, wow, like there's your hook. And let me see the next picture. Oh yes, so I'm like, it looks like also a trap, like a, you know, like one of those. I'm like, you know, and there's the shape of that was on the white cube, and there's like the rope, like the wormy thing. I'm like, you know, Jesus, am I going in the right direction? And look at your picture. So I looked at the picture, and in here in that circle there's the squiggly line. I almost fell off my chair when I saw that. Anyway, so getting back to, sorry, this. So I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, well, they're trapped. Okay? And I'm like, okay, well, who's trapped? Who are they trapping? Obviously us. But if you look over here, look at here. There's the snout, top of the head. These are sheep all over here. can see faces, especially this one. And the shopping cart is making a shadow, like a cage, like we're caged in. And here's the sheep. This is the girl's shadow, so that shadow's not normally there. So this is probably full of them, and they're trapping. They're trying to trap us, the sheep. Okay, so I got the pouch, got the pastels, the W, that. Okay. So if you look in where the two circles here and here would be, look carefully. There's faces. First of all, there's a profile of a man's face here. But if you look at this area as a whole, there's also, it looks like a woman's face with the lips. And here, there's a mouth, two eyes. Where are they? There were so many I saw. Oh, here. It's like a profile of a face and another one. Two eyes. Two eyes. They're all trapped. All in here. If really, if you want, you can, look at it better yourself. You could freeze the video or whatever, but there's all kinds of them in here. All kinds. Yep, there. Here, look at this one. Two eyes, a snout coming out in the mouth, and it looks like maybe even a tongue hanging out. There's a dead sheep. So they're trapping the sheep in here. So that isn't a rocket. And I'm sure there's all kinds of other stuff, but this is what I found in that picture. Like this, I mean, look at the sheep. All here. Okay. Let me get back here. Okay. So in the Dragonfly movie, Kevin Costner goes to where his wife apparently died, and this guide brings him to this, whoever was on that bus, they just kind of buried there. So right away I saw the snare, okay, the hook, the snare with the feathers on it. So I researched feathers, and it deals with ascension and spiritual evolution to a higher plane. Feathers are worn by Native American chiefs to symbolize their communication with spirit and to express their celestial wisdom. So, and in here, they always represent in the Bible a connection to spiritual realms and to divinity. And because of their connection to birds, they've always been a symbol of flight and freedom. Okay? Not just physically, but also mentally and spiritual sense. Okay? So here, these feathers are snagged. So whoever was on this bus with his wife, I'm looking at this, and they were spiritually snagged. That's what I'm getting from this shot, but they don't want you to know that. When he runs to the village, okay, and he's surrounded by these native people. He holds up a photo of his wife, and a native woman tells him that they couldn't save her body, but they saved her soul. Now, the bus went over a cliff, and he learns that the reason why he, found and went on this to look for his wife was he found out that that squiggly cross meant a waterfall. Okay? And remember, in Bird Box, they were going down a river, and that the tail end of it, you know, it wasn't like a huge waterfall, but you know, there was a spot where they had to, you know, be really careful because they were going to tip over, and it got really rough, and so it was like a little mini waterfall. And in The Quiet Place, when the father and the son were under the waterfall, they were safe. They could yell, they could make noise, and it's like they were saved. They were rescued from the things that normally, if they were outside of the waterfall and they made noise, they were dead. Okay? Also, in The Quiet Place, the mother, after she gave birth to the baby, the creature came, and she was holding the baby, and she was in water. There was a leaking pipe or something, so she was in water about up to her waist. She had the baby, and the water was overflowing and coming into the room that she was in. And as she was backing up, she backed up into the water and hid behind the little waterfall of water. And the thing couldn't hear her or hear the baby, because the baby was starting to make a little bit of noise. So in each one of those movies that has the squiggly line that represents water and waterfall, in each situation they were saved. Okay? They were, and I'm really trying not to forget some things. Oh yeah, so in each movie there was a pregnant woman. Okay? And to me, they're showing right in our face that we're born in skin. We're born here. Okay? And the only way to get out is the symbol of the waterfall, being reborn, being rebirthed through the waterfall, like when your water breaks. Because once in Bird Box, once they got past that little water cliff, what happened? They were saved. Let me see if I can find a picture. Oh yeah, I gotta go back to that. You know, they were saved. The three of them with the three birds, and she's letting them loose because they were saved. They weren't snagged like in that Kevin Costner picture. Okay? Here they're caged up. Now, in The Quiet Place, there's probably birds in it too, but offhand, I grabbed this picture from my TV, and then I felt in my spirit to flip it, or reverse it. And although there's writing on top of it here, to me, I see ABBA. I see ABBA. If you look carefully, I tried to sharpen it up, but really this is the best I can do. But there's words here. Okay? It looks like it says, I am ill before something bad. And here it looks to me like it says, Lord is good, or Lord of good. And these feathers, she has them, you know, snagged. She has them stuck in a jar, and the jar is some funky face. I don't have the original picture, but so in there, I mean, maybe you guys can see things that I can't, but so anyway, yes, so in each movie there's the waterfall, the pregnant woman. The pregnant woman is symbolizing, this is all my observation, what I got out of it. The pregnant women were all birthed here. We're all born here in skin. Okay? Where's that picture? Okay? In skin. We're binded by this glue. We're binded into the skin. And the only way to get out is you take this you and you flip it and scoot it up this way, and it's right side up. That's exactly what that is saying. Here's the box, the cube, the symbol of man getting trapped. This, I think, represents the hook and the worm and the rope and the snare. Here's the sheep that they're trying to catch. There's probably even more. You know, so we're born here in skin. We're binded here. And that's why they use the pastels. We're trapped here unless we flip, and just like Jonathan Gluck says, it's right here in the picture. And in each one they have the squiggly line, the squiggly cross representing water, to me representing Christ, to me. You know, they were safe. They were saved each time. And even in that Kevin Costner story, I know it's annoying when people flip quickly through there. You know, his wife may have died, but they saved her soul. It was the baby that they saved. But, you know, they even used the word soul. They disguised it a little bit. You know, but so that's where Jesus has led me lately. And I hope I'm not forgetting anything. I probably am. But be born again. You have, you know, get birth again. Be born again through the waterfall, through the water, through Jesus. And that's the only way that you're going to get saved. The only way. I mean, they put it right in front of your face. We're all trapped in skin, binded in skin. And the fact that I can't believe that these 3 movies they're all telling the same story, and Jesus led me right to it. So I hope you got it. I did my best to connect it all for you. You know, in Bird Box, they had to listen, right? They weren't allowed to look. They had to listen. In the Dragonfly movie, Kevin Costner had to listen to the signs. He had to pay attention. He had to listen. In The Quiet Place, you know, they couldn't listen till they were under the water, because they had to be quiet. Anyway, there's a lot going on in those 3 movies. They're all saying the same thing, but not telling us, right? So, anyway, I just want to show you that, and I'm really hoping I'm not forgetting anything. You know, the 3 symbols all connected. There's one. There's one right here. There's one. Dragonfly and Bird Box. They all have that line. They all have waterfalls. They all have pregnant women. We're born in the skin, and we need to be reborn again. And I think that's what the waterfall is all about. So, anyway, thanks for watching. And, I mean, turn to Jesus for sure. And stay safe.